Welcome to Dyson Sphere Program. My name is Nilaus and this is a masterclass on how to do red science. Now, why am I doing red science? Sort of arbitrarily choosing red science. There are indeed two reasons for me to start with red science, or not start, but do red science. Because in a previous masterclass that I do encourage you to check out is my early game jumpstart base, and in that one I also took care of getting the blue science going. So that is one reason. After the little blue science, then we need to do a bit of red science. That's the one reason. The other reason is that right as the game came out back in January or something, then I made a tutorial on red science, and it just wasn't up to the quality criteria that I have in terms of red science, so, or in terms of my masterclasses, so I didn't call it a masterclass though. But now I feel that I have a really good design for you that I want to share, and we have a blueprint, so it can be a bit convoluted, and because you don't need to build it. So the way this works is that I'm going to design it with you, well, mainly with myself, but you can watch along as we are designing it so you understand how it works, and maybe you get some good ideas about how to do your own designs. Then, of course, I'm going to provide the blueprint. It is in the link in the description below. There's a link to my website where all of my blueprints are stored, and you can then snatch it from there. So let's start with the design part. And first of all, there are a few considerations. The design target is 2 science per second, because that will last you all the way through the game. Second design part is I'm going to use Mark 1 belts and Mark 1 inserters, because that's what you have available at the start of the game when you do your first red science. Now you can see I have an interstellar logistics station. I'm simply using this as a big box that just has what we need available, and so that we can hook it up easily. So I'm building this in late game, but I'm building it with early game tech so that it's something you can do. It basically functions the way that you put oil in one side and you get red science out the other side, which is super amazing. So that's let's have a look at how you actually do the red science, just to refresh everyone's memory. There we go. The recipe is for 1 cube you need 2 graphite and 2 hydrogen. So it's really important to remember that 2 to 1 here, because everything else is 1 to 1, but this is 2 to 1. And that means if I have there, that will be 1 per second, and then I can do that one, oops, here, and this will be 2 per second, but it will then require 4 graphite per second and 4 hydrogen per second. So our target is, can we make something neat that makes 4 hydrogen and 4 graphite per second? Yes, of course we can, otherwise this wouldn't be here. And what we're going to do is just look at the basics, the recipe we are going to use. Here we are going to use the plasma refining, because that's the only way you can refine crude oil. So you take crude oil, refine it, 2 crude oil in, 2 light oil out on a 4-second cycle. And then a single hydrogen, very important, that single hydrogen. Each one of these will be using the X-ray refining, and what you see here is that you can see it's a lower recipe, obviously. It takes 1 light oil in plus 2 hydrogen, and then gives 1 graphite out plus 3 hydrogen. So this is basically like liquefaction in Factorio. So you need to feed the outputs back into the inputs, but there is a net of 1 hydrogen for this one and 1 graphite, and at the cost of 1 light oil. So I have 2 of these. There, you need 2 of these, and then this is where I'm going to look at the total number for this one. If we just look at what is inbound to this little design here, it is 2 crude oil, and then out of this one comes 2 light oil and 1 hydrogen. Into this goes there 1 light oil in each, so that nullifies all of the light oil. And then if we look at the output of this one, it gives us, whoops, over here, it gives us 3 hydrogen for each. That's 3 plus 3, that's 6, plus the one we had from here. That's a total output of hydrogen of 7, minus what we get inbound for this one. That is 2 for the top, 2 for the bottom. That means we have an output of, or an input here of 4. So the total net, if we move over here on this side, on the inside we have 2 crude oil, and on the outside we have 2 graphite and 3 hydrogen. That's it. If we look at this is of course on a 4-second cycle, so multiply by 4, then it goes on. Those numbers are on 1 second, and if you multiply by 8, then you have the whole number by 2 seconds, and then if we just multiply it by 8, we will have the 8 graphite we need. No, we have the 4 graphite we need plus the 4 hydrogen we need for for the red science, and then we have 2 extra hydrogen. Then that's those hydrogen we need to deal with. So let's start making a design, and this is where I easily make a mistake. I am going to do this one immediately, and then I'll explain why afterwards, or it'll be hopefully be self-evident. Let's start with this recipe here. Very easily, we are going to use the normal Mark 1 assembler sorters. You can use better if you want, but that is what I do. Then we have outputs. Let's drag the outputs down here. That'll make us happy. That one is an output, and there's another output here. And then we need to get some stuff outbound. I'm going to choose the first output location and take hydrogen furthest away and light oil closest. That's the way I'm going to do it, because that's going to work with our build. Then I'm going to do this, and you can see there is one gap here. I do that because of symmetry down the line, so it is not a mistake. It is a deliberate design choice that will become obvious as we progress with this design. And again, I'm going to take it, the first one being hydrogen on the outer belt, and the second one being light oil on the inner belt. So that is the start. I am going to scale this up. Even though you... hold on, let me just show this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though you can do this, there's no room for power poles between, so I would recommend tap, tap, tap. There we go. And on the second one as well, tap, tap, tap. There. Simply make a bit of space in between them so that there is room for, you guessed it, power poles. And you might think this is silly to put power poles like this, but again, it will become obvious why I do that. So right now what we've done is we are taking 4 crude oil in, and we're getting 4 light oil out plus 2 hydrogen out. The hydrogen gets put out on this belt. And now this is where we get to the second part of this base, or the design. And this is where we get to the plasma, no, the X-ray refining, that one, X-ray cracking even. That will be taking inbounds. It'll take some of the hydrogen that just got put out, and it'll take some of the light oil. Now we're not going to get enough light oil out here, but if I put this out, then I will. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab a belt going that way and another belt going the other way. So the inner belt goes backwards and the outer belt goes outwards. Just see, here we go. And what I then want to do is I want to go here. This one is outputting on the closest, hydrogen on the closest, graphite on the furthest. And what I then want to do is I want to grab an input. Why do I grab the input before putting the output? Because then I'm guaranteeing that there's enough space. This one, if there's a full belt coming here and I pick up one, then there will always be room for outputting here. Just a nice little thing. It should not jam, and we are going to go through the capacity as well. Then I wrap it around and go in on this belt so that I have another input here that will just make sure that it always has enough. And with this build, I will just drag this down. We will now need, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Recall that we need twice as many of these as we needed of the previous ones. And I will just take this out because that doesn't make sense. And at this point we have out here, this is the graphite. And on this one we have the hydrogen. This one will be light oil, which we're not going to use anymore. And also this one is very much not needed. So we'll prune that one back here. I'm going to do it on the same side. This same on the opposite side. That's what I wanted to say. There we go. And again, I'm going to take a belt going backwards. No matter what I do in this world here, I will start working at the dawn, and then it'll be nighttime before I get done with the design. That's just the way of the design work here. In my worlds, they are always just more nighttime than dawn. There. Okay. And I am going to copy the recipe from here to there. Good. Now, at this point, I am going to get also inputs. There will be an input here and an input here. Did we get it on here? Yeah, we did get it. Of course we did. I'm going to do exactly the same. Hydrogen out. Graphite out. Hydrogen in. There. And we are going to drag it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, something, something, something. There, that's 8. So now we have all of the recipes. Let's put a few power poles here and there to make sure that we get the power that we need. And let me see if that is correct. let's get some power poles. We got one there. Build one there. And build one here, here, and here. So we now have this all power poled up. And what do we now have? Let's also prune these ones as well. That one will be light oil, so not needed. This one will be hydrogen, so super needed. This is the return of hydrogen, so that's not needed. And this is the graphite. So now we have all the hydrogen, all the graphite that we could ever want. And we will now need to see, well, look at this wasted space. Isn't that a bit awful to have wasted space? Oh, but it is, but it is. If only there was something we could use that wasted space for. Like, you know, like this. Making some cute little red signs here. There we go. And they need to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. And how are we going to do this? Well, I am going to take, since there is very little room, you can see there's 2 room here and there's 1 room here. And I need 2 inputs and 1 output. This is the reason why I left an empty space, because now there is exactly room in here for what we want. I am going to take that one being the output. And then I'm going to take an input on this side. That is going to be in here. And I'm also going to get an input on the other side. That'll be in here. Don't think I need this. And we are going to take input. Input. This one doesn't copy well because it'll try to copy on the top level. This one is super important to do it like this. 1 out, 1, 2 in. Otherwise it just won't be fast enough when you're using the Mark 1 sorters. So that is super important to keep that in mind. There. And you know, just in case, this works, this is powered, but if I take it and move it further down, it won't be powered. So I'm going to put one in there so that we make sure that even the middle ones are powered. Now, what are we going to do about this mess? Well, there is only one thing to do about it, and that is spam some sorters here. There, 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 and there. This is going to be really crazy, but it will work. This is going to be outbound. Filter, red circuit, red signs outbound. There, red signs go straight out. And I need this one to be hydrogen. Okay, so hydrogen comes here. And this is the hydrogen belt. So hydrogen goes in here. Then I am going to take the hydrogen also from this one. Hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. That's probably not great right now, because this one, I have to make sure that this is going to be the graphite. Graphite will come there and there. So graphite comes there and goes here, goes into this one, gets prioritized through this. The hydrogen goes through. It won't go up there because that's filtered. It won't go down there because that's filtered. So it'll end up here. Then we know that we get too much hydrogen. We'll just get the graphite done. Graphite and graphite. The graphite goes over and merges in here. We know that we're getting too much hydrogen, so we have to get hydrogen out as well, excess hydrogen. This one will be prioritized. Do not set the recipe here. If you do this, then nothing will go out here. So just prioritize it with a ring around it, but not filter it. And this one should again be then prioritizing. If something comes in here, it should be hydrogen going out. And then what we can do is I can go into a box. I think at the starter you can also do this. And now this is only for me because this is not something you have in the beginning, but I am going to need somewhere to store this. Don't build it on the top floor, please. There and here. So this one is exclusively just to capture what comes in, and we can also just monitor how much it is. And there. Now what about this? This looks crazy, and you can do it with raised belts and stuff. I just prefer this way because it looks better. And look at that, dawn is coming. Dawn is coming. That's sweet. And let me just verify it before we hit it up and then try to power it up. Okay, I think we're ready to power it up. So let's make sure this one just needs a recipe. Not that it really needs it. I just don't want to look at the blinkiness. Let's stand here, and then what we're going to do to power it up is just let it go here, and then we'll see if it works. The way I'm powering this is I have all the oil I need. I just simply need to let it go out here, and now you can see it coming out of the belt, and we're going to monitor it coming in. It's much easier to monitor from this side, much easier. I don't know if that might be a bit of an understatement, but from here you can see that the buildings are going online. Gradually these will switch online. Nothing more than that will happen, just switching online. And it's going to take a long time before the whole thing comes powered up, but we're going to be faithfully monitoring it. So you can see all of the oil comes down here. Oil is coming in at 6 per second, and we are consuming it at 4 per second. So it should still stockpile here at the end very soon. Then it comes out on this side. The two sides are completely separate. On the one side we get the light oil. Light oil flows down here, and you will see that it's probably stockpiling down here. The reason it's stockpiling is because these ones get the light oil, but they don't get any hydrogen. The reason why they don't get hydrogen is because the hydrogen flows down here, and the first ones will be super greedy and fill up entirely here before starting to let anything continue down the belt. And now you can see it just slowly flows down the belt here. This one's switching on. This one will soon be switching on as this one stops consuming all of the hydrogen. You can see here it builds up and it wants to have 10 hydrogen in. It just takes one, and then more slides down here, and as this slides down here it gets started. That will again trigger more hydrogen to come out on the side, which will flow all the way through. As you can see, the hydrogen that goes into the science only starts flowing into the science when the whole thing has been saturated, when it slips by this location, which is going to take some time. You can see here this is now starting to grab a few, and once these ones comes through it won't be able to pick up both, and we have the very first stuff coming through. Here is a consideration that I will show you, and I'll just wait for it to happen. You can see here this is prioritized here, so you would expect that it would flow that way. That's how a splitter works in Factorio. I think that's also how it works in Satisfactory, but it is not how it works in Dyson Sphere Program, because you will see it there. Why do I have something that comes out at 2 per second or 3 per second plus 3 per second, and it starts leaking into here even though this is prioritized? That's because there is no internal buffer in here. So if they come in at exactly the same time, they will be going out on exactly the same side on both sides. I don't like that. I think there should be an internal buffer inside here so it prevents it, so that it can actually flow here, but that's not how it works, so we have to be careful about that. What this means is that right now, if we let it run continuously, it is not going to be able to fill up the last bit of here, because there's just a tiny bit too much that flows this way. The easy way is, once you get the red science going, what you really want to upgrade is obviously over here. You want that one, no, that one. This is a red science, a modest 100, and when you have a single bit of the Mark II belt, which is twice as fast, then I would encourage you to do a little upgrade of this part. There, if you upgrade this one, now you will see that it is much rarer that things slide by there, because now you have potentially 6 inbound, and then you start running it down here. So you can see here. So this is one of the things that it works. It's going to work absolutely fine for whatever you're going to need it for. But if you want to absolutely max it, then you upgrade this belt. Technically, you only need to upgrade the first few segments, so it just goes out of here in the right side. But you can see now, just the mere fact that we upgraded this belt means that this belt is now saturating, and this one will gradually. It's still a matter of just slowly picking up from this belt, but there we go. This one is now activated. Slowly but surely it is activated, and we now have a brilliantly working, completely functional, very compact, crisp build. Nice little, I was about to say square, but that's not it. Nice little rectangle, not too slim, not too fat, but just a very neat size that you can stamp down in your base in order to get started with 2 red signs per second. And I can promise you, in this base is 100 hours in, I am still using 2 red signs per second. It's just fine. It'll get you all of what you need for the entire game. So it's exactly like Factorio. The starter signs you build, just build it at a decent size. This may seem a bit much in the beginning, but if you build it like this, you will never have to touch the red signs again. All you need to do is make sure that this one, it gets emptied once in a while, or you have something consuming the hydrogen over here. And there you have it. That is the completed build, super nice and crisp, and I will of course provide you with a blueprint of exactly what we've been building, and you can download it, stamp it down in your own build, in your own base, if you so want. And that brings us to the conclusion. So I hope you have enjoyed this little design, this little crisp design of Red Science build. If you have, hit the like button and let me know in the comment section below other things that you would like me to do masterclasses of. Of course, I'm going to do the other sciences, that's for sure, but also other things that you would find interesting in this game that I could really dive deep into. And of course, if you want to watch more, then I'm streaming on Twitch, and of course also there is a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel, but or subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up on what's going on here. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Until then, take care and stay effective.